The origins of Quebec's religious swear words. Les sacres. Beautiful ciboriums, or chalices, and tabernacles. Hold it right there. In Quebec, we don't joke around with religious implements. Those words are not allowed in French, at least. They're taboo. But why? What are the origins of Quebec's religious profanity? Some people will explain that these are just religious words, but that's not quite true. The word alms isn't a swear word, nor is blessing or burning bush, Lent. Why is chalice a swear word in Quebec and not stations of the cross? What's going on? The origin of Quebec's swear words is indeed religious, but to really understand, we need to talk about religion a bit more. Warning, we're going to talk about blasphemy and swear words mixed with religion. Some people find this offensive. And this channel is regularly the target of complaints, even though we're only analyzing these words to better understand their historical origins. That's it. Just to be clear, I'm not saying these words are appropriate in every context. Please keep this in mind. These are taboos. Share with discretion. So to answer the question of the origins of Quebec's religious swear words, we'll divide the topic into parts. Number 1, what is a religious swear word in Quebec? Number 2, why are these words taboo? Number 3, why are there hundreds of variations of these words? And number 4, are these swear words important? Number 1, what is a religious swear word in Quebec? A sacre in Quebec is a religious word used as a swear word, like host or chalice, and the very famous Tabarnak. But the term religious word is vague. For example, what religion? To answer that question, we have to look at the semantic field of Quebec's religious profanity. We need to understand the meaning of these words as a group. What are these words saying? The first group, the Catholic Mass and its sacred objects. We've got the host, l'hostie, the bread that the priest transforms into the body of Christ. We have the ciborium, le ciboire, the vessel that contains the hosts. We have the chalice, the calice, the cup which contains the wine that's transformed into the real blood of Christ during Mass. And we have the tabernacle, which is the decorated sacred box used to store the hosts and the ciborium. That's mainly the first group. Are you starting to see? Here's the second group. Religious representations of sacred objects or saints, especially the Virgin Mary. We've got the crucifix, Christ on the cross, Christ, Vierge. Have you guessed already? The answer will surprise you if you believe that Quebec has always been Catholic. Write your theories in the comments. How many bona fide Quebec religious swear words do you think there are in total? We'll answer that soon. The shared meaning among all these words relate primarily to the opposition to the Mass and the representations of saints. Yes, you guessed it. We're talking about the Reformation. Most, if not all, of Quebec's religious swear words express ideas found in the placards of 1534. Quebec religious swear words evoke 16th century Reformation in France. Now be careful, even though these are blasphemous today, they weren't originally. They just expressed ideas that were forbidden in New France, but there's nothing blasphemous about them originally. Salut, my name is Jean-François Joubert. I'm a trained linguist with a master's degree. I spent years researching Quebec's sacre, and I want to share what I've learned objectively and in the most straightforward way possible. I read the comments. If you notice something missing or spotted an error, a fact, I will reply in the pinned section. Eventually. Number 2, why are these words taboo? Quick answer, because they reflect the ideas of 17th century French Calvinists about the Mass and religious idolatry. Historically, you had to be Catholic to live in New France, but the reality is a little more complex. Most settlers came from Protestant regions of France, and the poorest were the ones who took the risk of coming to Quebec and braving the cold, the mosquitoes, and the Iroquois. Most people were recruited to come to New France. The poorest people accepted the challenge. And in those days, in France, poverty was Protestant. But no one could escape the Counter-Reformation, the Inquisition, and the weekly Mass. For Protestants, the Catholic Mass was invented by the Church because they argued that it never appears as such in the Bible. Catholic Mass should be a symbolic event of bread sharing, not a sacralized theatrical performance to prop up the authority of a religious elite. Protestants didn't believe in the mysteries of the host turning into the body of Christ. French Protestants also opposed the use of Latin as an academic language. Latin was seen as a tool of the elite to impose their outdated dogma. And this is why religious profanity is in standard French. Protestants were champions of standard French as a way to promote literacy. In other French-speaking countries like France, Switzerland, parts of Africa, Belgium, words like hostie or calice can be used without issue, but not in Quebec. Why? Because the use of these words here was censored. Because the intent behind them was dangerous for authority. Quebecers, originally called Canadiens, were not so Catholic after all. This censorship came from the Counter-Reformation, the Catholic Church's campaign to eradicate Protestant ideas. First, by reforming its own practices, like fighting corruption and improving the training of priests. But then the Church also censored books, monitored its population, launched the Inquisition, passed anti-blasphemy laws that included anything opposing the Mass. And they launched massive conversion campaigns. All these things coinciding with the period of recruitment to New France, around 1630 to 1685. Those are the biggest years. So what is the religious origins of our sacre? Well, opposition to the Mass, the sacraments, against the Virgin, the tabernacle, all of these elements are typical of 17th century French Calvinism. And we know that in Quebec history, there are already a few names of famous people sharing this Calvinist background. King Henry IV, Samuel de Champlain, Hélène Boulay, Pierre du Godémont, just to name a few. But to the point, most of the Canadiens came from French regions where forced conversions were common. Number 3, why are there hundreds of variations of these words? Next time you speak to a Quebecer, ask him about the many variations of these forbidden religious words. Just for tabernacle, there is en tas, en tabac, en tabac vert, tabagnole, tabarnak, tabaquière, tabarchière, tabarjole, tabarnak, tabarnache, the verb tabarnacher, tabarnaquer, tabarn, tabarniche, tabarmine. There's over 50 just for that one. Quiz time. How many Quebec religious swear words and variations in total? Answer. Just counting the indirect variations and substitutions, we're talking about around 400 words. But if you include all morphological variations and combinations, you have about 1,500 expressions. 1,500! 2 logical consequences. Number 1, despite the ban, people kept using these words, creating what is probably the most spectacular set of religious profanity in the world. Yes, I stand by this. I believe this is the largest group of such words in any language. Do you think there are more elsewhere? Please let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. Number 2, Rome was not built in a day. This linguistic construction didn't begin in the 1960s or even the 1800s. No. It started long ago and likely developed over many generations, probably at the very beginning of New France, precisely when the colony shifted from Henry IV's policies of religious tolerance to Louis XIII's repression of the Reformed Church. So about 1610 in France, but around here in Quebec, around 1630, 1640. Final word. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe. The algorithm does not favor any of this content. Are these swear words important? Yes, absolutely they are. Historically, the population of Quebec created hundreds of variations of words denouncing the Catholic Church and its practices as a way to resist censorship and the blind dogma of 17th century religious fanaticism. They did this using their most powerful weapon, ridicule. After the British conquest of 1760, these words gradually lost their original religious meaning, but retained their expressive power by taking on their socially transgressive role. Two logical observations. Number one, despite the ban, people kept using these words, creating what is probably the most spectacular set of religious profanity in the world. Oh, goodness.